Time to get you hooked again. Welcome inside another edition of The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns, sponsored by Riize Energy Strips. Got our new football here, Vince. What do you think? Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good.
Need some Riize Energy Strips.
We're going in the right direction.
That's right. No doubt we are. That's Vince Young. Mack Brown's with us as well. Welcome inside The Stampede. You can get anytime you want to get this podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify. Also follow us anywhere on social media at The Stampede UT. Interact with us there. Guys, we've got a loaded show today. We've got so much to get to. Chris Del Conte, Texas Athletic Director, will join us in just a little bit. We've got so much to get into with him. We'll talk a little bit about what happened against Sam Houston. Look forward to Florida. Get you our underdogs of the week. I know Mack's excited to talk about his picks.
No,
because he feels like he's getting ready to go on a run here.
Everybody's good at something,
you,
and I'm a slow starter.
Well, let's get into this 55-0 win over Sam Houston as Texas with a blowout win. What they needed. That's why I said after the game. I said everything about it was what they needed. I know it's Sam Houston again, FBS team now, 10-win team last year, bowl game last year. It's not like this was the old FCS school that they used to be, but a very nice win for Texas in that 55-0 win. Let's start with you, Vince, because Arch Manning was very emotional. At times he felt probably a little over emotional talking to the defender, but you've got to have that, right? You got to get yourself back somehow. And after everything he's been through for the first month of this season, I had no problem with anything that happened that he did. What was your takeaway from Arch Manning and his emotion?
Well, two things for me. I know Mom was mad a little bit, and she is going to always be mad because my mom used to do the same thing. But at the same time, that's what you want in your quarterback, that type of energy, because of the fact people don't understand. He's going through a lot as mental, and Coach Stark and the rest of the coaching staff and his teammates are doing a good job of supporting him. But what he can answer those critics and questions is on the football field. So I commend him on his attitude, the way he has fun, the way he's with his guys dancing and excited. And secondly,
you've been begging for that. You're like, you got to do that, right? Like
because he was doing it last year. Yeah. He was doing when you do that, that brings another edge to you as a quarterback because you want to go out and be physical, consistent, everything on your part of the game, and then also have your own character in it. Secondly, what I noticed, and I really like the timing of his throws. A lot of people were saying he was overthrowing guys. He was missing the throw that he was supposed to make. So for me in game time situations with playing with different receivers and things like that, I was proud of him for making the touch throw down the field for a touchdown pass, just being on the money. And that doesn't happen just overnight. And I kept telling people who asked me questions, I'm like, he's going to be okay. He's going to do what he need to do at practice to get that timing down. And when he did, this past weekend, I saw that in him with his feet work, and one of the things that he did was get it out faster. Instead of holding it and patting it, sometimes you don't know that your receiver is really moving, and you could be behind or you can throw it too far. So I was happy about those two things, that he had a great attitude about playing Saturday, and his timing of his throws was good.
Getting the experienced receiver back in DeAndre Moore was critical. Forcing that issue finally with Ryan Wingo and getting them back on the same page, I thought was critical in that game too. Coach, there was a moment where Arch pushed Steve Sarkisian in emotion and fun and everything they were doing. How good is that as a coach to see your guy back in the right mental frame of mind after what he'd been through after the first month?
Well, it's great. Vince pushed me a lot. So, I didn't even think about that when I saw it. It was really interesting just going back and thinking about the dynamics going up into the ball game. Number one, the defensive players, the other offensive players, the staff. It's a really good culture. Nobody pointed fingers. So nobody said Arch is not doing his job. None of the players called him out. None of the coaches started talking behind his back. So that's great culture. Secondly, Texas is 17-1 at home in the last 18 games. Fans, you stepped up. We said pick them up. You did, man. 100,000+ coming for Sam Houston. You didn't come to see Sam Houston. You came to see the team. You came to see Arch. You came to see the team that's going to Florida in 2 weeks. And you picked them up, and you have made this place really, really hard to play at 17-1. Out of the last 18 home games. And then you think about Arch. I thought he had fun.
Yeah.
He played. He let it go. He led. He showed emotion. He danced. He high-fived. He pushed. He talked. He did all the things that you want your quarterback to do because you want your quarterback to have a swagger. And then he's the second in the FBS with 14 touchdowns, 9 passing and 5 rushing. And the other thing Vince just said, he had a lot of high-level throws. He made some throws where people were in his face, where he got hit. He made throws we saw last year. He made throws we'd been waiting on and thinking about, and that put him in a position that Sark can call anything he wants. And there weren't any fourth downs. If you're doing what you're supposed to on first, second, and third down, you don't have fourth downs. So 2 weeks ago, we go for 7 fourth downs or something because we weren't making yards on first and second down. We're third and long and 4th and 5 and something. No fourth downs. So it just the whole thing was good. And then as your quarterback plays well, Deontay Moore steps up. Ryan Wingo looks like the guy that we thought he was going to. He was the second fastest player on that play, the deep post in the country last week. So he really stepped up. And then when you're playing better, the old offensive line, fight harder. They're going to get those backs more yards. So it just all pulls together. And the offense played with a lot of confidence together and had fun. And that's what we asked them to do on Saturday. It's what we asked the fans to do. And everybody stepped up and did their part. And when they do, this team can be really good.
And to that point, some really valuable touches for Jarrett Gibson and Christian Clark and James Simon as they move forward. Obviously, the hope is that Quintravian Wisner and CJ Baxter will be back as they go to Florida. But even if they're not, now you've got 5 running backs that have had touches this year, and they're in a much better place. Before we move on and we get to our Riize Up the Rankings, Vince, I know you had a shout out you wanted to give because I know we talk about offense so much. It's all about the quarterback for the most part. That's what everybody goes to. But 55-0. There was a 0 on that board too. The defense played pretty well.
So shout out to PK and Coach Aquino because it's not easy to sometimes get a lot of 11 guys, even backups coming in on the same page and with the same energy. So that means in team meeting rooms, they are really doing a good job of the detail part of it. Everything else, you can already see they have with the energy and having fun and making big plays, making big hits. But that detail of being in where you're supposed to be at, you can see that in our Texas defense that nobody is making mistakes like sometimes you will see. But you seeing these guys are really focused in preparation. So I want to give Coach Keena and Coach PK that respect because that's a lot to get a lot of guys on the same page and not making mistakes at a lot. So that's pretty good. I commend them.
Give up 31 points in 4 games. That's not bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you take that, right? I mean, that's not terrible.
Well, and Bob, 11 tackles for loss. We've been whining about tackles for loss, 5 sacks. That's hard to do against anybody as you start looking at it. 20 straight turnovers at home, longest streak in FBS. Yeah. And this got my attention too, is Texas is giving up 3.58 yards per play, best in the country. Wow. OU 3.7, and Texas Tech 3.75. Joey McGuire's done a really good job on defense, and that's not been Tech in their past. But you start looking at it, we start talking about guys, and you get right down the middle. Your linebacker's your leading tackler. He's tied with your free safety, but the guy up front that we mentioned last week, Hero Canoe. He's helping those edge rushers with those sacks because then you got to double team him. You got to give some extra help inside, and it frees those outside guys to be one-on-one with tackles. And they're really, really talented, and I think that's why the sacks picked up.
And I think the first play of the game for Colin Simmons to get one, as much as he's been dying to get back in that backfield, was a good start for Texas as well. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's get into our Riize Up the Rankings, presented by Riize Energy Strips. Energy you can count on without the sugary crash or the jitters. You can get 25% off your first order of strips. Just go to riizeup.com/stampede. That's RIIZEUP. Just spell it on the football tier. RIIZEUP.com/stampede. Riize Energy Strips. Smart, simple, and built for the long game. We're going to talk about the AP rankings every week. We'll start with you guys. Who are you most impressed with that deserve to rise up the rankings this week, Vince?
I'll go with Texas Tech.
Man, they look good against
They
Utah.
look really good. Yeah, they look really good. You know, just understanding their philosophy, what they do. They pass the ball. And to have that consistency as a quarterback coming in every different year to understand what they do and have those talented guys still to this day throwing the ball around and climbing up the rankings when nobody said you are and making these type of plays. I'm a Texas guy. And it's hard for me to go do that, but I want to give respect to Texas Tech.
I'll tell you what, really cool for us in Austin, too, because Crockett High School alum Cameron Dickey scores 2 touchdowns in the backfield. Exactly. Baron Morton goes down at quarterback with a head injury. In comes Hutto product Will Hammond, and he looks awesome. And now it feels like, oh, we got 2 guys. Who are we going to go? Everybody at Texas Tech's wondering, is Will Hammond the guy, or do we go back to Baron Morton? So Texas Tech's certainly a team that has quickly shot up the rankings. We're seeing what they can do early on this year. And to Coach's point, they're playing some defense, too, which has been rare in Lubbock over the years.
Exactly.
Coach, who's your guy that you want, your team that you're going to go with rising up the rankings?
Well, also, I was very impressed with Texas Tech going to Utah to win with a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, that's hard to do, but you've also got to look at Indiana. I mean, nobody saw that coming with Illinois. And now Indiana goes to Iowa this week and plays Oregon next week. So we'll know a lot more in 3 weeks. But the team that I saw, Bob, that I thought looked the most impressive was Miami. Carson Beck's done a great job at quarterback. They've had skill, but they're playing really good at both lines of scrimmage. Their defense is playing at a very, very high level. And we talk about the polls. The only thing that matters right now is they're working toward the playoffs. They're working toward the college football playoff, and that's when the college football poll will matter the most. But I was just looking at it. Ohio State's at Washington. Miami's open, then they go to Florida State. We're going to know a lot more. We've got Oregon going to Penn State this weekend for whiteout, man. I'm staying up for that one. I mean, that's going to be really interesting. LSU's at Ole Miss. You've got Georgia, Alabama going to Georgia for a night game. Oklahoma's open. It's interesting. Now Texas plays Florida at 3:30 next week after being open, and Oklahoma plays at home for Kent State. I think that's a huge break for Texas. They're not playing at 8 o'clock at night. Vince played so many 8 o'clock games. He gets home at 5 in the morning. He's exhausted. Oklahoma's at home playing Kent State. They'll play for a quarter, and then they'll rest the rest of the guys. So really and truly, the thing about the polls, Bob, is we throw Notre Dame out because they've lost 2. They may win the rest of their games because they've played 2 really hard opponents. And they're going to Arkansas this weekend, and Arkansas lost at Memphis. So that's going to be with a fumble late in the game. Wow. So Arkansas is going to be mad. So that'll be a real interesting ball game. So I think that's what makes the poll so unique. Auburn loses a tough one at OU. There's obviously some officiating question marks. The SEC came out and apologized for some of those issues. Tough for Auburn to be in a position where a human error makes a mistake. I think you should take all those upstairs. If it is a game changer, why don't we take it upstairs instead of apologizing on Sunday? Take it upstairs and say, no, that was pass interference. Call it. No, that was deception. You can't do that. Call it back. We're going to get to a point with instant replay. Why don't we bring them back and not have a team that should win the game not win because of a human error? The officials are great. They do as good a job as they can. Things are moving so fast, and there's shifting, there's motion, there's tempo. It's impossible for the officials to always be right. Let's fix it during the game. Let's don't apologize and have somebody lose a game that could have won the day after. It gets coaches fired. It gets kids lose his dreams. It keeps them from having a chance to win a national championship. But then you've got Auburn going to A&M after A&M's great win at Notre Dame. So a lot of fun games coming up this weekend. And when you watch these polls, man, and I saw Lane Kiffin's daughter's dating the starting linebacker and captain at LSU. That's got to be tough for the coach.
Goodness gracious.
That's emotional.
Exactly.
Whit Weeks, star linebacker at LSU. That relationship, it becomes publicly announced this week by the two of them. No coincidence.
All right,
that it comes public this week as LSU gets set to take Ole Miss. But to your point, Mac, What a week. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better bye week for Texas because all the Texas fans get to sit around and watch all these games and have some fun doing it. But and then to the point for next week, obviously Texas plays at Florida. Oklahoma will play Kent State, and then we'll meet at the Cotton Bowl. That's a little bit of a break for Oklahoma getting Kent State before Texas, but we'll get to that next week. We've got Chris Del Conte on the other side of this break, so we're very excited to get to him and have a long discussion with him about what's going on with Texas athletics. And I know, as I always joke, our investigative journalist Vince Young is ready to press CDC.
I got some questions for you, sir.
Vince is tough.
Vince is tough. Vince is coming strong next. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns, sponsored by Riize Energy Strips. We'll see CDC right after this.
Game days are a marathon. Tailgates in the morning, kickoff in the afternoon, and celebrations that can stretch late into the night. You need energy you can count on without the sugar crash or jitters.
These aren't your typical energy drinks. Riize Energy Strips give you clean, natural energy you can carry in your pocket. No cans, no spills, no hassle.
And no waiting around wondering when it's going to kick in.
Exactly. Each strip has 50 milligrams of caffeine from natural sources, plus vitamin B12, L-theanine, and electrolytes, all from natural ingredients. They dissolve under your tongue, so they work up to 5 times faster and are 10 times more efficient than pills or energy drinks. 0 sugar, 0 calories, and the convenience to keep them anywhere in your pocket, wallet, or gym bag, so you've always got clean, natural energy when you need it.
Yeah, I could have used these back in my playing days. It would have saved me from carrying around a can like it's part of my uniform. With these, pop a strip, fill it fast, and you ready to roll. That's a winning game plan.
And now you can try them yourself. Get 25% off your first order at riseup.com/stampede.
That's RIIZEUP.com/stampede. Riize Energy Strips. Smart, simple, and built for the long game.
Breakfast might be the most important choice you make all day. That's because with Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast, you can mix and match your very own perfect pairing of our delicious morning favorites. With this breakfast deal, the choice is all yours, not someone else's. And isn't that how it should be? It's your breakfast after all, not Martha's. She can pick her own breakfast. This one's all for you.
No matter what you choose, from our sausage biscuit with that grilled breakfast sausage or the egg and cheese biscuit with fresh cracked grade A egg and melty American cheese on a fluffy buttermilk biscuit, a small size of perfectly seasoned potatoes, or a medium hot coffee to power you through the morning, all you got to do is pick your ideal morning pair.
You really can't lose because you're the one calling the shots. The choice is all yours.
Wake up to Wendy's 2 for $3 breakfast just the way you want it. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary. No substitutions, not valid in a combo, single item at regular price.
Welcome back to The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns, sponsored by Riize Energy Strips. A wonderful first block, but a much better second block on the way, as we talk to the man who just signed a 11-year extension. 2036, Chris Del Conte promises to be a part of Texas Longhorn athletics. The best news ever for Texas fans. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to join us. I know our investigative journalist, Vince Young, is sitting here waiting. He has pressing questions that he wants to get to. I know Coach Brown does too, but we're appreciative of you joining us for today.
Well, appreciate the introduction there, Bob. Really nice. I love it.
I'm just hoping.
I'm like, okay, let's not get crazy.
I'm just hoping I'll be alive at the end of your career. That's
the concept, Coach.
We know how to warm you up and get you some goosebumps.
Vince, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I just want to talk about, man, how do you the most important values that you want to install into the student athlete base? You got the volleyball team doing good. You got the soccer. Everybody is doing good. And I know it reflects off the coaching staff and yourself as well. You know, what are some of the things that the important values that you want to install into the student athlete base?
Well, I mean, and I appreciate being on with you guys, two legends, and actually 3 legends, Longhorn legends together, you 3. I'll say this, I think Coach Mack knows this more than anybody, and so do you, VY, is alignment of an institution is the most important thing that you can have. I think you can go back, Coach, probably end of the decade of 7, 8, 9, 10, probably more like 9, 10, 11, 12. When you're not really aligned as an institution, it's a real hard adjustment to breathe the idea of what it looks like. I remember when I got hired here, guys, my first head coach's retreat, took everyone out to Duval's place, and we sat down. And I remember Eddie Riize stands up and says, "What are you going to bring to the table?" I looked at him. I said, "Sir, you came from TCU. Our heart in Mack Brown is gone. Our mind in Rick Barnes is not here, and our soul in Augie is not here, and DeLoss is not here. We've had 4 different presidents, 3 different ADs. We went through this tumultuous time, different chancellors, 3 different football coaches, and you're trying to sit there and look at the coaches and say, you know what are you going to do different?" And at that moment in time, I was a little struck by that conversation, but I understood why you come to Texas. And I think when Texas is humming, and Coach Royal had this saying about the BBs in the box, everyone's heard that. It's really about alignment. And I think we're very grateful right now that we have a governor that's a Longhorn. Our chairman of the board is a Longhorn. Our president is a Longhorn. Our board of regents are Longhorns. When you have that alignment, you can then sit in front of a coaching staff and say, "We are aligned. Let me show you what we are going to do." And that's the most important thing, because I think when you have alignment from the top, what it allows you then to dream the impossible dream, because they know that they're behind you, helping that prophecy become a reality. And that's really the critical thing. So that first time, I remember thinking, okay, let's look at our facilities. So we really wanted to start to address what we need to do, our physical blueprint of what our campus looked like. But for me as an AD, every coach has their own culture. Every coach goes about it a little bit differently. My job is just to make sure that we're behind them. What do you need to be successful? Set a standard. We're gonna compete to this standard. Do not deviate from that standard, and then give everyone the tools they need necessary to compete for championships. But when you're aligned from leadership down, things happen. You can see institutions around the country where they're not aligned. It doesn't make a difference who's in the seat. You can't work. You can't do your job. It's almost impossible. Does that make
Coach
sense?
Brown, yes. Coach Brown. I was just going to say, I mean, obviously, Coach Brown, you had this with DeLoss. You had the same type synergy across the board with the DeLoss. I know you have some questions for Chris as well. What's that like, though, to have the AD alongside you in that run?
Well, Chris said it. You got to have alignment. You got to have a strategic plan. A lot of people that believe in each other that'll follow through. And DeLoss had Don Evans. Don was an unbelievable chairman of the board. We've got Kevin now, who's wonderful. And then you've got Chris with just unbelievable ideas. But DeLoss did this job for 32 years. And we had so much alignment. We all had fun. We all liked each other. There wasn't any jealousy. I helped Goff recruit. I helped Coach Fields recruit. Rick helped me. We really helped each other. Augie was a treat. Chris, you have head coaches meetings, I think, and you pull all the guys together and the ladies, and it's there can be a lot of jealousy when money is like it is right now in college football, and everybody's needing their piece, especially with NIL. What do you do in those head coaching meetings to keep alignment? How do you what tell our fans what those are for?
Well, I think Coach you and VY know that DeLoss was the men's AD. He was the AD for 8 sports. We were a completely divided program. We had a women's AD, which was either CP or Jody or Donald Lopiano. They did a wonderful job, but we were truly separate departments, right? So DeLoss was the men's AD, CP, Jody, and Donna was the women's AD in their history. So I was the first person to come in and merge both departments. I'm very thankful for CP and allowing that to happen, also to embrace what we were doing. So when we were trying to merge departments that first year, it was really look, listen, and learn. Take both worlds. When I was at TCU, I would come to Big 12 meetings. Both DeLoss and CP would be in the AD meetings. So it was just going to be an adjustment of what we were going to do. So I think that first year was really just trying to make sure that we're understood what we were going to do and how we were going to go about it. President Fenves was the person that hired me. We had Chairman Altai became a chairman of the board. Governor Abbott was there. We had a new board of regents. So constantly laying out our plan of what we were going to do. And that was a critical component is CP and Jody understanding the what we were doing and embracing that. So we have a head coaches meeting once a month. We have an all staff meeting every 6 weeks. We have a leadership meeting every Monday at 4. So that's basically how I operate the budget and or operate our athletic department in terms of communication. I constantly communicate with our staff, constantly communicate with our leadership team of what we're trying to get accomplished and have a single message and don't deviate from that. So in this new era, one of the things that's uniquely happened was you used to have a scholarship limit. Years ago, they created competitive balance in intercollegiate athletics by reducing scholarships. I want you to hear me. They created competitive balance by reducing scholarships to say you can have a limited number. In baseball, you had 11 scholarships for a roster of 40. In track and field, you had scholarships of 12 for a roster of 45. Under this new era, you no longer have scholarship limits, you have roster limits. At the University of Texas, we're adding an additional 250 scholarships to our coaching staff. So now you're going to go from track from 11 scholarships to 45. Swimming is going to go from 9 to 22. Women are going to go to 30. So every one of our athletic programs will be completely fully funded in scholarships. There will not be a student athlete at the University of Texas does not have a full ride. That is critically important to me. At the same time, Coach Mack, I sit down and coaches and say, hey guys, we only have two sports that generate all the revenue, football and men's basketball. I share the P&L with everybody. Here's the P&L. But you 19 other sports, you enhance our brand. You accentuate our brand. We may not bring a positive revenue in softball, but 3.2 million people watched that game last year. We may not have positive revenue in volleyball, but we've won 2 out of 3 national championships, and we're drawing incredible fans, and they accentuate that brand. So they both matter, but how you go through this system is you got to make sure that you communicate and say, here's what NIL looks like, here's what publicity rights look like, and constantly communicate with them and how we're going to go about it. And that's all you can do. And don't deviate from your once you become wishy-washy in that, it's hard for them to have faith in what you're doing. So communication is the key, but fully funding our sports is the most important thing. And how we share publicity rights with the lawsuit, it was 75, 15, 5, and 5. 75% for football, 15 for men's basketball, 5 for women's basketball, and 5 for other sports. And we've also then decided to then fully fund to the tune of $10 million all of our scholarships. So every sport will be fully funded to the roster.
And that's an enormous step across at the athletic department for that to happen. Chris, you've hired a lot of coaches since you've been here, and you've won national championships with some of those coaches. I'm curious, when you go through the process, how do you know? Like, how did you know with Steve Sarkisian that was your guy? How did you know with Mike White or with Bob Bowman or with all these coaches that you've hired? What is it that you know you have to find in them that makes them elite?
Well, Coach Mack will know this better than anybody. Success has 1,000 friends, failure is an orphan, right? But too much credit is given to who you're hiring, too much blame is given when they don't work out. I think at the University of Texas, fit is probably the most important thing. And you have to figure out someone that understands the gravitas of the University of Texas. I tell everyone we're an aircraft carrier. It's, but there's also a little pontoon boat in Lake Austin. They're both the same. They both float. They both have an engine. They're completely different enterprises. So we were looking to hire a coach, interviewed a football coach, and the guy said, hey, man, I want no part of the New York Yankees. I'm comfortable with being a Cleveland Indian. I love that person more for the fact he knew who he was. When you think about, you go back and look at coaching hires that DeLoss made or Steve or whoever else, Mike, I always go back and study them and see what happens. Look who we hired before we had Coach Mack. Were they right fits? They were successful in their own right, but were they the right fit for Texas? Right? You had to go get someone that fit the ecosystem, understood the gravitas of the University of Texas and what it meant and how to operate in that ecosystem. And I tell every one of our coaches, your job is to go recruit the very best, coach the very best, get the very best out of student athletes. I'll take care of the rest. I don't need a coach raising money. I don't need a coach worrying about a marketing plan. I don't need a coach worried about how he's going to get from here to there. You go do what your talent level is. And that's being an incredible coach, believing in young people, and succeeding on the playing fields and the course. That's their job. The business and everything else is my job. But they also have to understand that the pressures of expectations at Texas. That's why there's a sign in the weight room. The winning traditions of the University of Texas shall not be entrusted to the timid nor the weak. That's hard to live up to because coaches, players, everyone understands that. And the pressure is real. And you only feel pressure when you're not prepared. So when you're going to go hire coaches, I also say, man, I'll make sure that they understand what the aircraft carrier looks like, that they've been successful at other places, and they can operate in our ecosystem. So whether Vic Schaefer was at Mississippi State, I knew what he was, where he'd been. He was prepared. Bob Bowman, Coach Flo in track and field, Bruce in tennis, Ianello in women's golf. We look at, I also study our own current coaches and what made them successful. And are they good people? Do they treat people right? Do they hold people accountable? Do they have a plan? All these things you assume they have, but when you dig down deep, they also got to be a right fit for us. And Steve, I knew what Steve did at USC. I also knew what he did at Washington. They were, Coach Mack, remember, I think they were 0-12 and 1-11 before Steve took over. And they went with Tyrone Williams. They went 5-7, 7-9. He goes to USC, had a personal problems that were his personal, but I understood what happened. He owned those. Yet I understood what he was looking for. We changed from Coach Herman to Steve. It was about someone understanding how to build a roster. And one of the things that uniquely led me to him was he looked at our roster and goes, you have 18 wide receivers on scholarship. You have 7 offensive linemen. You win with the trenches. I remember thinking to myself, man, he's, but you didn't know he was going to be successful. We were 5-7. Everyone's calling me a bum. and then, they believed in him. And you can see we're constantly chasing Mack and the ghost of Texas, and Mack was constantly chasing Darryl and the ghost of Texas until he climbed that mountain. And there's a picture on my wall of all the Longhorns climbing the mountain that we know what that's all about. So every one of them understands what it means to be here, but you got to spend a lot of homework making sure they understood how to operate on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
so do you do the
Chris,
same thing?
I'm just 54, but I look like I'm 74. So that's after coaching in Texas. So
I understand. The came with nice black hair. Look at this. My interview, I had all black hair. I got a bald spot now, and I'm straight gray.
I asked Sally if I could dye my hair, and she said, too many pictures. I don't think you could pull that off. A little bit late.
Go straight black hair with a little solid black stash.
I like it.
Bring it back. You know what I mean?
Bring the stash back, Mac.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Remember, old Bianco used to have that solid.
Yes.
He does look better now, so we'll let that go.
Yeah,
Vince, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, with that same detail, that's what you do for your fashion?
Listen here, BY.
I mean, I'm just saying, you come on the sideline with a nice sports coat and it's some nice boots. So do you do the detail for the air carrier? Do you do the same thing with your fashion?
Well, I will say that comes back to how I was raised. VY, It was funny. Growing up in a children's home, there was 85 kids, and we got 5 pair of pants to start the school year. 5 shirts. You had your 5 pair of pants, you had 5 pair of underwear, you had 5 shirts, you had 5 pair of socks, and you got a pair of shoes. And that was, we'd get to the bus stop. And they would say, how you look is the first thing someone's going to judge. You represent someone more than yourself. Mm. And I remember that always just stuck with me. So we got a new outfit at Christmas. We got a new outfit at Easter. And then summertime, and there'd always be a little bag. The pants would always be a little big. So I always had a little white line because I was growing right at the bottom. But the idea is how you look will determine what people's impression of you were. And that was such a lesson learned in this children's home. We'd get on the bus and, you're going to get to school and you didn't want to look like you came from a children's home. And that was so important to my father that you had a semblance of the first thing they see is how you look. And how I got into sport was we're in this children's home 30 miles out of town. None of us were getting sleepovers. We were not getting invited to go into town. And, that 8, 9, 10 up junior high era, you're just trying to be accepted. And one of the kids went out for sport. All of a sudden, they called the ranch, asked him if he can come to a play date. And the next, we're all joining athletics in town just to become friends with people and be accepted in town. So those two things have always stuck with me: the value of sport, and two, how you look. You represent something more than yourself. So to me, getting dressed up and wearing a tie every day, no one wears a tie anymore. I'm like, you got to wear a tie because you represent the University of Texas, or represent my family, represent my wife. But how you look will determine, in my opinion, that they have an impression that these guys are buttoned up. Now, I try to force everyone here to wear a tie, and they lost their damn mind. So I know the age doesn't do it. They're like, enough of that.
Oh,
I'm like, really? So I'm the only one that wears a tie now in Big 12 meetings. And they're like looking at me like crazy. But I firmly believe that I will take that lessons learned as a child with me my whole life.
Chris, I love my granddad. He was my mentor, the love of my life. And he said people will determine who you are in the first 60 seconds they meet you.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of that's how you look when you walk up. And even if you couldn't afford rich clothes, they needed to be ironed. They need to be nice. You need to have clean shoes and do that. So I totally understand and agree. I've got a brief comment and then two quick questions here. Number one, I appreciate so much that you still care about academics. The football GPA is higher than ever before, and each one of your kids are classy that you're recruiting. So you've hired the coaches to bring in the fit. And at the University of Texas, you need to be able to handle yourself in public. You're very popular. Everybody's got a camera now. But a lot of people are transferring 4 or 5 times. They're bringing in 72 transfers, 60 transfers, and not worried about graduation rates. The APR kind of covers it up that, yeah, they're eligible. But I'm really concerned that we're going to have kids that aren't graduating and can't get jobs and some mental health issues at the end of this thing. And I know all those things are really important to you. So I really applaud that you, with all your pressure to win, have not backed off of the academics and what's best for these kids. And that's you should really be applauded for that.
Well, like Mack, I appreciate, I meet with, I make a manager, I meet with every recruit. My goal is I also meet with every recruit for every single sport, because you're trying to figure out who are you bringing in? Who are we? If you're recruiting against TCU, I remember with Gary used to always could never beat Texas on a recruit, but he would go get a linebacker, a running back, Jerry Hughes, and say he's going to be a defensive end. I was always curious on who we recruited, but the University of Texas, regardless of sport, I meet with them. Because the most important gift Texas has is the trust of someone's giving us their child. Their child now becomes our responsibility. And Mack, a football coach sets a tone. And Steve always says, who you are some of the time is who you are all the time. We had a 2.3 GPA, 5 wins. Last year we had a 3.3 GPA. And for our entire team, I always kid Coach Fields. When football has a higher GPA than men's golf, we got to get to work, boys. You know what I mean? But that is critical. VY, when you bring kids into this to our program, the most important thing is that a parent is entrusting us with their child, and that is the greatest gift that we have as an institution. So if they can graduate from the University of Texas, we're not a big portal school. Kids will come here and say, man, they want to portal out because they're not playing. And I always say, okay, but don't go to a school that you get a degree from like Texas. What were your dreams and aspirations? And the hard part of Texas, Mack, and you probably know more than this than anybody, is you're recruiting the 1%ers. You bring 25 1%ers in, and they've all been playing. They've all been the person, and now they're no longer the person. They might be the third string or fourth string. That aha moment with that child really happens their junior year. They struggle because their dreams and aspirations of the NFL may not be fulfilled. They may not be getting the playing time they wanted. And that's when you have to be behind them and saying, guys, it's the degree at Texas that will set you up for the rest of your life. But now everyone has an agent. Everyone's trying to get their playing time. And if we can do a good enough job in the recruiting process early, when I meet with every recruit and every parent, We talk about the value of Texas as a degree and what that will do for you. Yet, you know you're going to have that moment in time when they're just struggling because they're not playing and their whole identity is in athletics. And I tell every recruit, sport is what you do. It's not who you are. Our job is to figure out and accentuate who you are on the field and off the field to become a productive citizen. So thanks for noticing, but we're really heavily involved in that.
Thank you, Chris. We used to tell them the NIL is really when you graduate.
Yeah.
Because that's the rest of your life. You get chump change up front. Rest of your life's a whole lot of money as you go. My two questions, Chris, that were obviously the climate's changed, trying to navigate it with NIL, coaches' salaries, coaches' buyouts. Two coaches have already been fired 3 weeks into the season. Where do you see this thing going? We got donor fatigue. You're building an indoor area. You're having to raise money for collective. You're having to raise money for revenue sharing. Your job's gotten so much more difficult. Where do we go? I'm so many of my great friends get so many calls. They said, "Man, I'm tired. I'm tired of getting a call. I got a call from 28 Sports at North Carolina, and I'm just worn out. I can't keep giving on top of my parking, my season tickets, the concessions, the travel, where are we going, Chris?"
Well, it's interesting. I remember when Bobby Bowden got the first $1 million salary in 1991 or 2 at Florida State. It's like, oh my God, I cannot believe they paid him that much. It's the Armageddon's happened, right? And it's just part of the process. And the hard part of an athletic director or a job like this is I'm running an enterprise based on people's passion. Rational people become irrational when it comes to their passion, whether it be a coach, a student athlete, a staff member, institutional leadership, donors. They're irrational, and you're trying to run an enterprise based on that passion. And the fruitful thing that I have at the University of Texas is the revenue share, the publicity rights that we are going to share. They're self-generated. I don't have to go ask people for that money. We're going to make decisions in-house to make sure that we share publicity rights within our own operating budget. So I'm not asking people anymore to help support that. True NIL for student athletes. If VY was a student athlete today, then how do you capitalize on his true name, image, and likeness? He can offset some of the publicity rights that he will earn. So for the last 3 or 4 years, it's been very, very difficult to operate in because there was no rules. And remember, guys, everyone's blaming the NC2A. The NC2A has done nothing wrong. I want to be clear. The NC2A is a volunteer organization. We make the rules. When the NC2A tried to enforce the rules that we made, and we lawyer up as an institution to fight rules that we broke, everyone has the bad rap. So when everyone was caught cheating or doing things that were nefarious, the investigation would happen, and then the institutions would lawyer up to fight that. It's crazy. So now with the new, when you think about the new, we're asking the federal government to give us a narrow antitrust exemption just to govern ourselves, because when you're running an enterprise based on people's passion, people will do nefarious things to help their institutions along, and you see that repetitively throughout college athletics. So the SCORE Act we're asking for is a narrow antitrust exemption just to help us enforce our own rules and regulations. There's 39 different state rules right now on how to operate intercollegiate athletics. And every one of those rules is the lowest denominator to help that particular school in that state be successful. So it's just a time period that will change. But if you want to win and you're trying to win as much as you can, and you got football and men's basketball to generate all that revenue for all of your sports to be successful, that's where lies the pressure, right? And salaries increase. Coaches, Mack, you started winning. People start recruiting you to go other places. If we didn't increase salaries to keep you here because someone else is willing to pay it, then that was the problem. So when you're running an enterprise, and at the University of Texas, I don't receive a dime from campus. We are completely self-sufficient. So there's not one dime that we receive from campus. So we're all self-generating. And the Longhorn faithful are allowing us to be successful because they buy a season ticket. They donate to Longhorn Foundation. But I'm not asking them to operate now in this ecosystem of publicity rights. We need to figure out how to manage that in-house. We have a significant large budget, and we will do that. But everything is fatigue. There's a lot of fatigue around the areas, but at the same time, viewership is an all-time high. We played Ohio State. We had almost 19 million people watch. We're averaging at the University of Texas almost a little under 10 million per game watching the Longhorns play after 4 games. So there's excitement there. You just got to adapt or die. We're in good shape.
Yeah, and Chris, I remember DeLoss gave money back to the university, so I'm sure you're still doing that too. My last thought is when you're the best at connecting with fans I've ever seen as a coach or administrator or anyone in your business. And when you got to Texas, I thought you were crazy. I thought going on those websites and communicating with fans and answering their questions, I said, ooh, I don't know if you can do that here or not. This is nuts. And you've done it. I follow you. Hey, CDC, my cup wasn't full of coffee. I got it. I got it. Hey, I didn't have my cushion. I paid for a cushion. I got it. Number one, why is that important to you? Because nobody else is doing it. And number two, how do you handle it? How do you have enough energy and time to do everything you're doing, raise all the money, and then do the best job in the country of communicating with fans?
Well, Mac, we're asking people to spend their discretionary income with us. It's their precious dollar. One of the things when I got hired here, we had, and you knew our game day environment before we got hired, we had these massive trash cans all the way around our stadium. And we're saying, hey, come spend money with us, spend your discretionary income with us. And yet we were not responsive. The first game we're playing USC, and the pipe broke in someone's suite, and there was absolutely black matter coming everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on? And Mr. Midoff, I walk into his suite, he grabs a bottle of Jack Daniels, takes a pull, and says, you're staying with me, son. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Our own in department said, we're Texas. We weren't acting like Texas. So I sat down and said, guys, when I tweet something out or when someone complains, we need not only to fix it, we need to go do that. And our staff came up with fan first. They're being responsive now because we're asking someone to spend their discretionary income with us. They have a right to complain. They have the right to say this is not right. And our job is to do the very best job we can, create an incredible experience. So we took our staff to Disney. Look what they do at Disney. When you get to the park, when you buy your ticket, all the things they do is they're creating a system around it that, wait a minute, I still have to wait for 3 hours to get on the Matterhorn, but there was all these things around it that when they got home that night, does their kid want to come back? I can't control what goes on in our games, but when they come back, they say, man, you know what? That was a worthy investment because now I'm competing against restaurants, vacations, movies, parks, you name it. Wherever a family is going to spend their discretionary income, we got to make sure that our food is right, our pregame, our in-game, our post-game, everything creates a system. They go, you know what, that was worth my investment, and I'll come back. So me responding to that was also to our own staff to say, guys, it's important to me. It should be important to you. We have a job because those people allow us to have a job in intercollegiate athletics. So yeah, I'm way over the top, but I find it doesn't make a difference if you give me $1 million or $15. That person, to them, this is their passion. So we should adhere to that and help engage in that passion. Now it's tiresome, but at the end of the day, when we're rolling and we're winning, and our coaches are being successful, and our student athletes are being successful, it all plays into it.
Well, you're the best in the country. So,
yeah.
Chris, I'm going to let these guys close it out, but I want to throw some rapid fire at you so you can answer these real quick because I know the fans kind of want to know a few of these things at least. Maybe we do too. Football facility still on pace for May or June?
Yeah, Mack got the bubble built in 2000. That was like, oh my God, that was modern technology. So yes, the indoor by the way, let's take a little time for the indoors. We're having to build a 4-story parking garage underneath it. So we're going to have an indoor here, parking garage underneath, and practice fields on top of it, because our student athletes don't have a parking problem. They have a walking problem. So I'm going to give them all student athletes will be parking underneath the football indoor. So you have a football indoor, fields right across on top of it with parking garages underneath. We will open that up. Next should be the steel is being coming out of the ground right now. That'll be opened up probably next April, May, but June, because by time. So let's just say end of the fiscal year, it'll be complete. Same time we move the press to the end zone so we can do the press box. Moving forward with there.
Obviously, that's the important one to me. Yeah. We're getting kicked out of the press box. They're going to build suites there, which makes sense.
Yeah.
We don't need the 50-yard line. See,
come on, it's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I never figured out why press had 50-yard line seats anyway. I mean, this is ridiculous.
And food. We could cut budget some there, too.
Well, Mack, now that you're media, you know what I mean? But back in the day, they had all the best seats, and Duval's way in the corner. Well, God dang it, now, Connie. Why is the bull sitting at the 50-yard line? I don't know.
Yeah, and get the cheerleaders out of my way. I can't see it. So.
Exactly right.
All right. Well, as we're watching from the south end zone, will we see grass on the field in 26? Is that going to still happen?
What's funny? Coach probably Mack knows this more than so does BY. You guys changed all the time. Grass one year, it rained. We got to get rid of
the grass back.
No, we had grass. We went to field turf. We went to grass. We went to AstroTurf. By the way, did you know we've never had grass in Disch-Falk Field, which blows my mind too. I think once we're done with the indoor, Coach Sarkisian will make that determination. I prefer grass. But at the end of the day, you also got to look at usage in terms of how he wants to practice and what he doesn't want to practice. But my preference is grass, but I will always defer to a coach. When we built the south end zone, or we built the practice facility, or we did a baseball, I just asked the coach what you want, and my job is to go raise it. So I really don't get engaged in the actual design of the building. I said, Coach, what do you guys need? I need this, this, and this. They design it to their specifications. Ironically, the practice facility for basketball was designed for Shaka and Karen Ashton. They were both gone by time Beard and Uncle Vic came in. They tried to change everything. Guys, a little too late, you jokers. Tom did the indoor of the football building, and Steve made a little bit of adjustments. So like the indoor is being completely designed by Steve. I think once we get into the indoor and he gets to see how the practice fields look like, then I think he'll make the adjustment to DKR. At the same time, where the bubble is, I need to take the bubble down and put 2 practice fields up there. So then you can have 2 fields to practice fall camp. Because it's, you also want to usage of it's all just going to depend on how the usage of the field gets used.
Gotcha. How about any opportunities for new sports at Texas? Is there an opportunity for men's soccer, men's and women's hockey? I know you're probably a big water polo guy. Lacrosse, is there any plan to try to explore some of those things?
And I think when you go back to look at Title IX, when Title IX was instituted in 1972, you had to match your student body enrollment. We were probably like 70% men in 1972. Today, we're 61% women on campus. So your athletic department must match your student body enrollment. We added beach volleyball a couple of years ago. Steinmesker came from UCLA. Went to the Final Four last year. I envision him winning a championship here pretty quick. If we were going to add a sport, it would be on the women's side at some point in time, just because of your enrollment. But because we've got to go from scholarship limits to roster limits in terms of scholarships, we won't have to add a sport anytime soon, because we have enough scholarships we'll have like 250 women on scholarship, 200 men on scholarship. We'll start to balance out that. But if we were to add a sport, you also got to make sure that it's regionally viable. One thing is you go back and say, okay, I want to add a water polo. There's no in the South that has water polo.
Sure.
So you'd have to look at what sports makes the most sense for us to do that. When we added beach, it's because we're so good indoor. It was a good way for us to augment both of those women playing both sports. But you have gymnastics, you could have lacrosse. Everyone talks about lacrosse, but there's no one in the SEC that has lacrosse. We'd have to go with the ACC to play. You know what I mean? So it's just you'll have to determine that as we go down. But right now, there will be a men's sport that we're going to add. And if we were going to add a women's sport, we're down the road a little bit. But I would probably look at, quite frankly, probably gymnastics would make the most sense just because of the SEC. But we're in no hurry and don't need to do that.
All right, and then finally, I'll let these guys close it out. But the three things, I had to go to your favorite place, Twitter, now X, I guess, to figure out what the fans want. Mack mentioned the seat cushions, what's going on with the tightness of those
stuff.
It's right. The north end zone video board, is that going to come anytime soon? Are there escalators coming to the stadium? Those seem to be the fans' real concerns right now at DKR, Texas.
Okay,
Memorial.
Let's go. We have existing escalators that take. What was crazy about the escalator conversation? We already have them. They take you all the way to the top. I don't know how long she's been not coming to the game, but outside the elevator banks are the escalators. I was a little confused by that. But we do have escalators. The problem with the escalator is you have the upper deck, built in 1968, probably seats 17,000 people. They built the ramps. No one wants to go down the ramp. So the ramps are the easiest way to go down. They don't want to go up them. But when you come down, you got to start to unload the upper deck, then the middle deck, then the bottom deck. They're all trying to get on the escalators at one time. It becomes a little safety issue. So we close all the escalators on the lower floors to start to alleviate the upper floors. And then as they start to dissipate, we open up on the way down. So that, yes, the cushions is a problem in the stadium because the run and rise of that stadium is not the same, meaning each row does not have the same run and rise. Part of that stadium was built in 24. Some of it was expanded in 48, 68, 2009. So the run and rise is not the same. So we have to now go back and find cushions that you can go from a narrow rise to a wider rise. It's always a problem. So depending on the row you sit in, it's a problem. We didn't contemplate that back in 1924.
I know. What about I was there, but I didn't have any input. So.
Yeah.
Is there a north end zone video board project? Is that something?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Yes, there is. But the problem with the north end zone for a moment is, say the south end zone scoreboard. If we were to put that exact same scoreboard on the north end, it would look like an iPhone because it's so far removed. It's ginormous, but it would look like this. So part of what we're looking at now is how do you attach that board? Do we have to go all the way down in front of the Hall of Fame and build the infrastructure all the way up because of the wind load? And it's going to be, the scoreboard will end up being twice the size of the south end zone. When you take the current dimensions of the south end zone, it looks like this on top of the north end. It looks tiny because you're so far removed. So part of that now is doing a study on the wind load and what can we attach that to? If I have to go all the way down in front of the Hall of Fame, you're going to have these massive pillars all the way up just to hold the wind load.
Right.
It's not the board itself, it's the wind load that's the problem. So we're also trying to figure out, is there, that's the issue. I just can't attach it to the back. It's not strong enough. So you have to figure that out. And we don't want to take out any more seats. So yes, we're in the middle of that. I do anticipate having a board, sooner than later. But we're in the issues of where do we attach that to? Because the infrastructure to go all the way down is about $40 million. I prefer not to spend $40 million to do that. I would prefer to spend $20 million if we can figure it out correctly. Because the board itself is not expensive, really. It's about $6 million for the board. It's the infrastructure to hold that up is where the expense is coming in.
All right, VY, Mack, you guys close us out.
Yo, CDC, I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing for the university. The feedback I get is people have a really good time at the games, and I always commend you on the things that you're doing. So thank you from that standpoint, as well as the students and the athletes. They really do appreciate you. So keep it up, big guy.
Well, thank you, VY. And I think we have a great team with Drew Martin and his entire team. Chuck, they do a great job of spending money. Those guys have an idea a minute. You know what I mean? It's like they have an idea. I'm like, I'll try it. I mean, every time they come up with some wild idea, I'm like, gosh. And you want them to get all the credit. And if they mess up, I just take the blame because you want them to continue to be inquisitive and have this idea that let's try something, right? Because when you don't try something, then you fail. So they're really good at coming up with crazy ideas, and I'm really excited for that team. So appreciate you noticing.
Yeah, Chris DeLoss said he gave Sally and I an unlimited budget, and we went over it. So I think that's.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Mac, now we have zero-based budgeting.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
yeah. So we do a zero-based budget. I go, guys, tell me everything you need. And then I know exactly where every coach just stuffs their budget. I'm like, it doesn't cost you that. I mean, it's the disaster. But when you do the zero-based budget, at least we can have John Fields walked into me the other day and goes, I don't understand why I have to do a budget. When I first got hired, I go, what do you mean? He goes, I was never told to do a budget. Just spend what I needed to spend. I go, that is not happening, man. Ed Goebel would just kind of go, okay, how much do you have in there? All right, Mac, no problem.
DeLoss, unlimited budget. Just let me know what you need.
No. Now we have a budget. I mean, hot dang it.
You say no,
Chris, we could keep you here for hours. I mean, this list of things that are going on right now in college athletics that everybody asks about all the times, whether it's playoff or these buyouts. Will buyouts be the same with NIL going up like it is and revenue sharing like it is? Are we headed toward the NFL model? I mean, there's so many things that we may need you back at some point. And I know you're so overloaded. We appreciate you so much. DeLoss for 32 years was such a gift to the University of Texas, and you've continued and exceeded all those thoughts and moving forward. And we, as BY said, appreciate you being on this show, but really appreciate what you're doing in a class way within the rules, moving forward and keeping Texas in the forefront. And it does not go unnoticed. So congratulations on all you're doing, and we look forward to having you back.
Well, I appreciate you, Coach, more than you know. And by the way, I'll come back and answer those couple of questions because I think what we cannot lose is the value of education.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not interested in having a student athlete be an employee. I think there's a way to do publicity rights. BY and Mack, you guys generated so much publicity for Texas, and as players, you should have an opportunity to have publicity rights. I don't call those performance-based. Those are publicity rights. You generate publicity. I'm not interested in a buyout for those either because they earned them while they're representing the University of Texas. So I think there's a lot of things that we can have that discussion with, but I appreciate the three of you very much. You guys have an awesome day, and thanks for having me on.
Thank
Chris.
BY said
really
if we had NIL when he was playing, he'd still be playing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think he would have had
true.
NIL and he was playing. He didn't pay for any restaurants in town. I mean, what are you talking about?
He would have bought the restaurants like
Yeah, exactly right. Didn't even leave campus.
No question.
Chris, we can't thank you enough for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. That is
You
Chris
guys
Del
be great.
Conte, Athletics Director at the University of Texas, here on the Stampede. When we come back, we'll get to our Underdogs of the week, and I'll take a first look at the Florida Gators, the showdown next week in Gainesville. That's when we come back. We'll see you after this.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to make your picks and win money all season long.
Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more.
This week on Underdog, I'm looking at the Ohio State-Washington game and the Illinois-USC game. I'm going to go with Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier to go higher than 232.5 yards passing. I'll also go with Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin to go lower than 254.5 yards passing. Put those two together, and you can win big money with your entry. Download the app today and sign up with promo code STAMPEDE to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code STAMPEDE. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right, it is the final segment of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns, sponsored by Riize Energy Strips. How good was CDC?
Oh, wow. Very informational.
Ooh, he had some good stuff. Man, he's fun. He's fun to talk to, just to be around the energy that he gives out. It's always a lot of fun to him, and we appreciate him coming on with us today. All right, let's get to our
I love he's a forward thinker. Right now, your leadership has to be a forward thinker because it's there's so many changes.
Yeah.
And the guys in the past are getting left behind. And he's keeping Texas in the forefront, and I really love that.
No doubt about that. He's just doing an incredible job across the board. All right, look, he is not an underdog, but it's time for our underdog fantasy underdogs of the week.
I'm the underdog.
Coach has been waiting all show for us to get to this segment because he's ready to rebound. Coach had John Mateer last week, higher than 42.5 yards rushing. That did not happen, so he drops to 2-4 on the season. Vince Young had Texas Tech wide receiver Caleb Douglas to go higher than 46.5 yards receiving. He did that. VY now 4-1 on the season. I had Baron Morton higher than 256.5 yards passing. Baron got hurt in the third quarter. Will Hammond came in. Combined, they got that, but that doesn't help me. So I fall to 4-2 on the season. So let's get to our picks this week. Mack, you mentioned it. So many big games this week. We're going to focus in on USC, Illinois, and Ohio State at Washington. Going to be a good road test for the Buckeyes going up to Washington. Vince, we'll start with you. You're going to go with USC and Illinois. Who are you taking this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Illinois. Luke Altmaier. I'm going to go higher than 232 yards and 0.5.
And that'd be a great response. After that, they were just absolutely destroyed by Indiana on the road.
Yeah.
They got to find a way at home to come back against USC. That's a good, I like that pick. I think that's a good
pick.
pick.
I just hope my boy Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and Lendell White, did you hear that? I think he's going to throw all over you guys.
And Illinois is going to win the game, right, Vince? Illinois is just going to, it's going to be a blowout for Illinois.
Well, we know Illinois is going to be mad. They haven't had a good week.
Yeah,
exactly.
They will be frustrated and they'll be ready to go. Coach Brown and I are going to take that Ohio State Washington game. Coach, you like a little lower than on the rushing side, don't you?
I do. I worry a little bit about Ohio State having to go to Washington because I think it's 8-18 in the Big Ten when you've traveled all the way across the country to play. So that's tough. This will be a real test for Ohio State, but Ohio State's defensive front has been so good. And Caleb Downs in the middle of the field, he's such a tremendous guy down the middle. I don't think that the great running back at Washington is going to get the yards that they projected.
All right, so he's going Jonah Coleman, lower than 52.5 yards rushing. I will actually go with Julian Sayin, the quarterback, he's looked great the last couple of weeks against Grambling and Ohio. But this is his first road test. He's going on the road for the first time. I think it's going to be a tough test for him. I think he goes lower than 250.5 yards rushing because of being on the road, being a young quarterback. Maybe they rely on get on that running game a little bit more when you're on the road. You got to pack your defense. You got to pack your run game. And if they're going to win at Washington, they got to pack that run game. So I'm going to go Julian Sayin, lower than 254.5 yards passing. Underdog fantasy all the time. Underdog fantasy, make picks, win money. All right, let's move forward. Let's look at Texas, Florida as we move forward into next week. A quick glance at it real quick. But first, Vince, what does this bye week mean for Texas? What do they have to do this week going into next week against Florida?
Well, you definitely get to rest your body for one, because, you're getting hit and bangs and bruises. They add up. And you want to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to do to take care of your body. But I just hope that, coach still keep the tempo up at practice, even though it is a bye week. But don't change what you've been doing, that you notice that your guys are starting to move in the right direction that you need them to go. So I hope they just keep up the tempo at practice, rest their body, and understand when coach said go home and get off your feet, take your butt home and stay off your feet. Do not go to 6th Street. Yeah.
Did you listen?
Yeah, because remember, you had to call me and confidentially, I had to go get some people. I was in the bed playing Sega Genesis, playing PlayStation. So
I'd call Vince and say, "Where are you?" I'm at home.
I'm at home, baby.
I'm at home.
Where's everybody else?
A couple of guys, a couple of your buddies. That
go
just
get some of your guys. Exactly. So stay off your feet, big guys. Just do that and watch some football.
It's an interesting week when we approach a bye week for Texas. A lot of teams on a bye this week. This is kind of a time of year where you get a little rest before you go into the meat of the schedule. But, Coach, there's an interesting development that even Steve Sarkisian referenced that's getting ready to happen across college football. And it's the guys that have played 3 or 4 games and they make the decision, you know what? I'm done. We're off to a terrible start. I'm going to preserve my year. I'm going to redshirt. I'm going to sit out, and I'm done for the year. How big an issue do you really think this is and it's going to become across college football?
It's a huge issue, and I see it getting more so. Even the Virginia Tech, UCLA, both jobs are open.
Right.
Coaches have already been fired, so those kids want to say, okay, I'm not playing anymore this year. I'm going to wait and see who the new coach is and see if I want to transfer. We actually had we won a big game, Bob. It was the 4th game of the year. The kicker was kicking kickoffs. He wasn't kicking field goals for us. We had it split. He wanted to kick field goals. He says, Coach, can I see you? I said, sure, come on in. I was all pumped up and happy after a big win and looking forward. He walked in and said, listen, I'm transferring. I'm going in the portal because I'm going to play my 4th. I've already played my 4th game, and now I will not be, I'm not going to play the rest of the year. I'm on a red shirt and go in the portal. And I said, why? And he said, I want to kick. Fair. So you're playing 11 people at a time. Thank goodness last week, Sark got to play a whole lot of people. But if they're not playing, if they don't see they're going to have a chance to play, if they see their season's bad, if they see their coach is struggling, may get fired. This is a decision that agents and families and players are sitting down and making this week. So a lot of coaches are recruiting their own players to see if you'll stay and play instead of going in the portal. And there's a lot of people that will go in the portal. Now, if somebody's only played in 2 games so far, they've still got 2 more to play before they can go in the portal. So it doesn't all happen this week. It's only for the guys who have played 4 straight weeks. So that's the concern. And then, Bob, you start, other than recruiting your own players, this is a huge week for recruiting for Texas because it's an open date. And they're planning on being in the playoffs, and recruiting time gets shorter and tougher later on. So this is a huge week for recruiting. It's not a bye week. It's not a week off. It's a week you don't play a game. And then you've got to do what Vince said. You got to rest your guys, but you still got to keep them sharp. And that's a fine line. More guys get hurt during open date than any other time during the season except for preseason practice. So do you go good against good? You do in drills. You don't go team against team. You go drills. So you want your best pass rusher to be against your best tackle because you're saying you can block Colin, then you're going to be okay on Saturday, man. You're still doing 7-on-7, good against good, but you're not taking them to the ground. And then you're still coaching the heck out of those young ones because they've got to get better. And they got to get better fast. So this is a really important week and critical. It's critical for Arch to keep his confidence moving. It's critical for the offense to pull together and put all the pieces together. It's critical for the defense to keep talking about Florida's a different animal now. We're starting the season over. We had Ohio State, which was a monster. Then we had 3 we should beat, and we did. Now we're starting our season. We're starting conference, man. So you better get ready to go. Like you said, Vince, get in bed, eat right, get yourself ready, because at 3:30 in Gainesville, they're going to be pumped, and they're mad, and their season lies on beating the University of Texas. And then you got to come back home, and so lucky that it's an afternoon game, and get ready to go to Dallas. Oklahoma, coming off an easy win with Kent State, will be rested and ready to go as well. And you're working on a little OU this week. Like Vince said, we used to stick it in there and not tell them.
Yep.
You're working on a lot of Florida. You're working on a little OU every day.
Sure did.
And then Vince would say, what are we doing this for? We're good. Just go.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Don't ask questions. And then the OU week, he says, oh, now I understand, in the spring and in preseason. So you got a little OU mixed in there because OU's playing well, and that'll be a heck of a game. But you got to get your business done in Gainesville before you can go win it at the Cotton Bowl.
And you know, I don't want to assume anything. Assume you agree with Coach Sark on this, Mack, but he was talking about how he thinks everybody should just get 5 years. Get rid of redshirting, get rid of everything else, because right now, you know, you play the 4 games this year, but it resets when you go to the postseason. So all those guys can play in the postseason. You just only get 4 regular season games. So what's the difference at this point? If we're going to do that, might as well just give them the other 8, let them play and when they need to, and then move on from there. Is that something you'd advocate for, I assume?
Absolutely, Bob.
Yeah.
There's 2 things that I think are critical outside of the players and the money and the scholarships and all that right now. The scholarships 25 years ago at the CFA, we all wanted 5 years of eligibility. No medicals, no red shirting, just go play. You got 5 years, and that's it. You don't have 6, you don't have 7. There's no appeals. You've got 5 years. And then you can play a freshman in a 6th game. if you're blowing somebody out or you're getting blown out. Let him play. Less likely that he'll transfer. So absolutely, I agree with Sark. Give him 5 years and throw the rest of the mess out. And that's important. The other thing Sark mentioned last week that was really interesting, everybody's looking at scheduling models now. We're going to play 9 conference games. We're going to play 10 Power 4 teams. We're going to do this. Well, we've all got to look at, is it good for the national championship game to be January 20th? Because you're taking guys through an end of the semester in December and the first of a semester in January. You're taking away their holidays. Is that too much? Is that too long? So should we have conference championship games anymore, or should we just have the best team in a tiebreaker win? Should we be playing in January 4th like Vince did for a national championship instead of January 20th? There are a lot of things we've got to look at here with this new model.
There's a lot to get to, and
a lot
to get to. I mean, it's wild. But we're had CDC on the show today. What an awesome time with him. Get some of his thoughts. And we were joking about it. We have like a million more questions for him that we all want to get to, but we really certainly appreciate his time. Always appreciate your time, Mack, Vince. Thank you guys for everything that you do to make this show happen, and we'll do it again next week.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys, and thank you Texas fans for stepping up. We're back on track. Let's get ready to go to Gainesville.
Let's have a fun time. Let's go to Gainesville. Let's see if they can get it done. That is Mack Brown. He's Vince Young. I'm Bob Ballou. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns, sponsored by Riize Energy Strips. We'll see you guys next week.